Man, we can't disturb old Bob. Mercy's sakes. John Dean gets my blood
Yeah.
pressure up to about
The
497.
truth
And
is
then
that the
old
two
Bob Wills kind of brings my blood pressure back down.
the
I
So,
know
truth
I'm gonna
is
have
they
to
were
listen to some of him when I go home.
they were talking to each other and not on the radio. That's the truth.
Well, we had to go into break and we were talking about the taxes. I was making a comment on the Tea Party, and I think the two are linked. I love the Tea Party. I need the Tea Party to be stronger, though. I don't need you guys going to rallies. I need you fighting for us. That's what you guys were good at. What happened? Mom! We always complained about taxation with representation. And that's how the Tea Party came into existence. And, Conn was commenting on how the school board raised the taxes, and where was the Tea Party in that? Where is our. Right now, we need people like the Tea Party to fight for us to help with taxes.
we need people like the Tea Parties, but first let's understand why the Tea Party went away. All of you folks that love Barack Obama weaponized a thing called the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. A woman named Lois Lerner was head of the IRS, and after Obama weaponized the IRS and Lois Lerner, she put the quietus on the Tea Parties. Any conservative Tea Party, boy, she went after them like a pit bull, and that's what happened to Tea Parties. Now, for those of you who think you want to consider voting for the next Democrat, that's what you did when you voted for Barack Obama. And look at what we got. Now, boy, don't get me started on that.
Well, don't worry. We're going to continue Obama's legacy with Beto.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go to Beto, all right, 254-773-1400 is the call-in number. I realize that Conn and John have been sucking up all the airtime today, and I've helped a small amount. Finally got a word in edgewise, but we'd like y'all to get a word in edgewise. Please call in. Don't feel like that we're not going to let you talk. Anyway, again, that number is 254-773-1400.
I promise I won't bring up Masturbato anymore.
Yeah. Well, there's so many things to discuss and talk about. And let me say that I really love a good conversation with good, common sense people. And we can discuss the Democrat Party. We can discuss the gun issue. We can discuss preparation for slave days. I would like to discuss that for just a moment. But it's going to take more than a moment. But the Reverend Al Sharpton now has raised the ugly head of preparation for slavery days. Well,
how can he be called a reverend?
Yeah, let's keep this in perspective, folks.
You know how much money he still owes the United States government?
I'll tell you what.
Taxes?
Before I get started on that, we better let Dave or Doug tell us what he's going to talk about. Doug, are you there?
Yes, I am, Conn. Appreciate you taking my call.
Well, just
Calling
jump
with
on
regard
in
to
here.
the Tea Party. Yeah, I don't think the Tea Party's gone away per se. I think we're sitting back. But the problem is, when they're having rallies like the one they're talking about in Temple, they're having it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. A bunch of us work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're working jobs. We're supporting our families. We're paying our taxes. We're out there doing the job. The people that are showing up for the alternate rallies like Antifa, this, that, and the other, Muslim college kids paid by whoever to show up and break things and be disruptive. The honest citizens out there doing the job, putting food on the table, paying their bills, being law-abiding, paying the taxes that we really don't like to pay because we're paying for everybody else on the
That's
sun
right.
that's coming in and getting free stuff. Okay, so we're out here doing the job. So I'd rather see these people have their Tea Party rally in Temple like 4:30. It's still daylight till 8 o'clock. You can still make the point, but give us an opportunity to show
Miss
up.
Pat.
I didn't have to take time off from work to show
Good
up.
point. And if Miss Pat's listening, I hope you heard that.
Yeah, or at 6 o'clock in the evening, everybody can head there on their way home,
Yeah,
I'd show up.
Yeah, and that
I'm
way
like you, I'm working
you're not-
too.
yeah. And that way we're not being disruptive. We're not disrupting traffic downtown Temple, even though, it's not like Houston or Dallas, but even
That's a
still.
really good point.
People are still trying to get out of work and go home. Maybe they don't want to be disrupted by somebody having a rally. Okay, fine, respect that, but give us an opportunity to express ourselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Doug. And you've made an excellent point. The working man still has to feed his family. He can't afford to take off and go down there and demonstrate. But Antifa and people like that can take off because you got George Soros paying them to do it, or somebody.
Yeah.
And you know,
Now,
when are we going to start? When are we going to start asking the question, who's paying these people, and why?
Exactly. Well, we already know that. If you go to any websites and conservative websites, you can pretty much do an audit trail and figure out who's backing these people and where the money's coming from. Okay, and that's already been expressed several times on different news outlets that I listen to, in places that I read, and the literature I pick up and read. We kind of already have an audit trail on who's backing them. Okay. The other thing is, I was listening to Rick Roberts the other day. I listen to you guys on weekends. I listen to Rick Roberts because Kennedy talks too much about himself these days, and Rick lets people speak. Okay.
Rick has a very good program. I'll listen to that.
He's got a great program.
Really good.
He was on a rant the other day about people coming in the country illegally, and getting all these free things, this, that, and the other. And my question is, okay, Rick went on a rant, and my question is, when are we going to get on a rant and march in D.C. and protest about what's happened in this country? You don't see the conservatives protesting en masse, but you will see other people up there protesting en masse on the left side or the more liberal side, but you don't see the conservatives getting out there en masse and really making it known and being there when Congress is in session, not when these bozos, these spineless jellyfish, as I refer to them, are home soliciting more money so they can stay in office and, again, do nothing.
Well, my problem, Doug, is I don't want to start encouraging violence. But having said that...
I'm not talking violence. I'm talking peaceful protest. I'm talking go up there and make it known to Congress.
Me and you
We're
both,
not happy with the job you're doing.
We're both talking about peaceful protest, but I tell you, it will quickly turn into more violence. But and I'm not encouraging that, Doug, but what I'm saying is until you make people understand that there are consequences to bad behavior, as long as you're rewarding bad behavior, what the hell do you expect to get more of? Now,
exactly.
When if you go down there to an Antifa rally and some of those people leave there with a busted nose or a fat eye or a busted lip, they may decide that the consequences are worse than the $10 that George Soros paid them to go down there.
Doug, you just reminded me of something I need to say.
Uh-oh.
I need to say this. John Carter, are you listening? Where are you? Mm-hmm. You are a Republican conservative congressman. You are our representatives in this area. Where are you? Why are you invisible? Are you doing your job? I don't see that you're doing your job. You voted unanimously. John Carter, you voted unanimously to pass that resolution condemning anti-Semitism, which only really condemned white people. And Doug's saying here, let's have some peaceful protests. But more importantly, where, Doug, is our representative, John Carter? He is the most invisible representative this area
he could go protest outside his office.
The thing about it is, if he won't step down and resign, we're going to lose this seat to a Democrat, and it's going to be worse. So, John Carter, please, if you're not going to do your job, make way for another Republican conservative, somebody like Doug who cares, that can help our area out and help America.
Well, these guys have to be defeated in the primaries.
Well,
we can't wait until...
Well, he could make way. John Carter's old. He could step down and let another Republican representative have the spot. All he has to say is, I'm not going to run for another term.
Well, but I would say that the time to do something and the time to make decisions is just prior to and during the primary season. Well, I would encourage every one of us to look at the voting record of our current candidates, our current office holders, look at how they vote, look at what they do, and then tell me you want to send them back to Washington, D.C. or to the Austin legislature. We need to look at voting records and look at what they stand for and what they're doing. And then if someone comes along better than that, then replace them.
Well, Doug made the best point. He's working. How can us working conservatives ever really get a chance to voice our opposition? We're having to pay these high liberal taxes. We're always working. Doug, I'm curious, what do you do for a living?
I'm a nurse.
Very cool. I tried it. I went to study for it, but it was too hard for me. Yeah. And I thought I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. The business of caring, that is a hard profession. I think air conditioning and electrical repair is easier. I feel for you, man. You're in a tough job.
Well, but Doug,
It's a great profession to be in.
Yes, it is.
whatever profession you're in, you can influence other people around you by simply talking about the current problems or whatever. I go back to what Tina was repeating that I said not long ago about people that never talk religion or politics. If you don't talk religion or politics, what are you interested in? What do you want to do to secure your future and the future of your children? Do you think the score in that football game is going to secure the future for your children in this great nation? No.
You know what it is? I think I know what it is. It's video games. I play a video game. I've been playing it for 10 years. I won't lie. It's called Call of Duty.
Thanks, Doug, for your call. Appreciate it.
It's called Call of Duty.
Appreciate
Of course, I'm
all
older
you
now.
do, like your bumper music.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
So I play this war game called Call of Duty Con. The problem is I've gotten older, so the name Call of Duty has taken on a whole new meaning for me. But a lot of kids are lost in their own little computer world playing video games. Nobody's out there. You know what? I should run for Congress. If I do, I'm going to pass a law that says all teenagers have to help build our highways in the summertime. No more video games in the summer. I think it would help parents because they wouldn't need a babysitter. Their babysitter would be their employer that's making them build that road.
Well, of course, it's not up to me. I'm not in charge of raising kids, but if I
Well,
was,
you ought to be.
Well, we had 7 children, and the things that we wanted from our children was we wanted to see our boys grow up to be men, and our girls grow up to be ladies. That was the requirement in our household, and my wife saw to it that happened. It's not my fault; it's my wife's. But I'm just saying, we did not raise our boys to be girly men, and we didn't raise our girls to be. Well, I better shut up. But I have 7 children today that I'm very, very proud of. I just don't understand parents that want their boys to wear dresses or do whatever. I don't understand that. And I
That
think
was the
it's-
9th thing on my list, is what the leftists are doing to destroy everything. The leftists are wanting to get rid of male and female as a gender. Do you know in New York, the birth certificate has a check mark for NA, or none of the above. You're male or female, you can say other if you want. Look, you're either a woman or a man. So what happened is the leftist has confused our children because it's being taught. You can't call in schools now. You can't call a kid a female or a male. You have to address them as a student. So we're creating gender confusion, which creates a confused
and
society.
What's the purpose?
Okay,
You know,
but
what is the end result of what we're doing?
To make people feel good about themselves?
I
don't
know.
know.
Okay, but it's obliterating the roots that hold us together as human beings.
And that made us the greatest, freest nation in the history of the damn world. We're destroying that. Why? I keep asking the question, what is the end result of this? What goal do these people want to accomplish? The only thing I can see is they want to destroy America. Well, why do we vote for a Democrat, for example, like Beto O'Rourke? Beto O'Rourke wants to abolish guns and open the borders. All right, let's have all the thugs come over from Mexico or wherever they're from, all the bad guys, and now that they're here by the thousands, if only 10% of them are bad guys, how do we defend ourselves against the bad guys? How do we defend our wife and kids, our businesses, whatever, if we don't have a gun to defend with? And they're encouraging more of these kind of people to come here. What will that result in? That will be the destruction of America, folks.
America is going to be, might as well call all of the United States of America New Mexico, because that's what's going to happen. You've got an invasion coming from south of the border, Central Americans, Mexicans, and they're invading this country, and we are under invasion.
Well, let me give you an example. How many lives were taken with guns in the last 10 years? You hear about that constantly, all right? How many lives were saved with a gun in that same period of time? You never hear about the lives that were saved with a gun. You only hear about the lives that were taken with a gun. Let me give you a case in point. How many times did you hear about Mr. Williston down in Sutherland Springs, Texas, that stepped out there barefooted in the gravel with his gun and he stopped the guy that had just killed 26 people? Now, do you ever hear about Mr. Williston's actions? No, no. You hear about the 50 Muslims that were killed in New Zealand. You hear that over and over and over. Okay, another
And you don't hear about the
you.
Christians that were killed in Nigeria.
Yeah,
That happened right after.
that killed 120 Christians in Mozambique. The Boko Haram Muslims killed them. You heard about it on the news one day, and
Right.
you didn't hear about it again. Okay, another thing you haven't heard about, you heard about the kid, the 19-year-old that killed the folks at the high school in Florida. At that same period of time, a 19-year-old kid in Oklahoma had looked up and there was 3 young black folks kicking in the front door with butcher knives and brass knuckles. Now, what do you think they were there for? Do you think they were kicking down the front door in order to have a prayer meeting with his mother and father? I don't think so. I know what they were there for, and there's no doubt about it. Well, that 19-year-old young man had an AR-15. He killed all 3 of them. You heard about that one time. You never hear about it again. Well, that young man stopped the slaughter of his mother and father. Would you prefer that he stop the slaughter, or would you prefer that he stand there idly and watch them cut his mother and father up and rob them, kill them, massacre them, do whatever?
Exactly.
See, you never hear the news media make the point. What would you rather have that 19-year-old do? Would you rather have him stop the slaughter of his parents?
They're never going to do anything that praises a gun owner.
No, but whatever happened to truth?
Hey, Raymond, you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, Raymond, I'll slow down just long enough to hear you.
Yeah, that's fine, sir. Listen, I know I was on here earlier, but I appreciate y'all letting me make this comment. You know, the only way that I can see that all this situation is going to get under control, the United States is going to have to enforce their laws with an iron fist. You commit any kind of crime here that's a heinous crime, you're going to get the death penalty. We're not going to keep you there 10, 15, 30 years for you to be put to death. It's going to be automatically within a week or 2 weeks period. See, we're going to have to enforce these rules real tough so these people will understand we're not going to cross that border and commit a crime up there. We're not going to do all this heinous stuff that we're going to try to do because the United States of America is not playing with nobody. They will get rid of you. And that's the only way that I can figure this out. We're going to have to enforce the rules with an iron fist.
Raymond, you
have a
are
good
so
day.
spot on. Thank you, because I keep imagining in my mind, how can we change things? And that is a very good answer. I might incorporate that in my psyche. I hope you don't mind, Raymond.
Well, and not only that, DNA is now it can be done within 3 or 4 days. So, you know, if the DNA matches the crime scene, bye-bye. And then Trump also, this kind of goes along with what Raymond was saying. Trump suddenly pulls ICE nominee to go with someone tougher. Good for him.
Yeah,
Let's get iron fist.
just what Raymond is saying. We need to punish bad behavior, not reward it. And when there is a situation where a guy just killed 3 little kids or whatever kind of a horrible crime it was, I've got a question for everybody and for the jury. What redeeming social value does he have? Someone that just committed a horrible crime. I'm like Raymond. Why do we want to house him at the tune of $60,000 a year for the next 20 years when he committed this horrible crime? And there's no doubt about him doing it. What redeeming social value does he have? He has none. Get him out of here.
Well,
We're going to go to break.
Now we got to get out of here and go to break.
Oh,
We'll be right
no.
back.
No, not now.
We'll be
We're
right
on a
back.
roll.
Yeah.
let your cowboys grow up to be babies. Mamas, don't let your cowboys grow up to be babies. Let them drink that Lone Star all night long. You got to raise them on chicken fried steak, gotta feed them milk gravy. He's gonna make you proud, he's your son. Yeah, mama, don't let your cowboys grow up to be babies. Let them drink that tequila and get stoned. You got to raise them on chicken fried steak, feed them milk gravy. He's gonna make you proud that he's your son. He may wanna ride across the border. It don't do no harm to sow some oats. He might even find himself a wild one. Some seeds you got to sow on your own.
Okay, folks, here we are back on the Common Sense with Conn show.
You got a great sound engineer.
Yeah, we do.
Found Mama, don't let your cowboys grow up to be babies. We're making jokes about it. He finds us all. And that's Dale Watson. He's from Austin. He has the coolest pompadour I've ever seen on a man.
Yeah, I don't
He
know what
still wears a
is, but-
pompadour. It's that big hairstyle that comes up like this and goes out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see, you just lost Con. He just left the room. Yeah, on that one.
Hey, look, Dale Watson's a man's man, but he does have a pompadour. I won't lie.
Well, everybody has their thing, right?
Yep,
All
I still
right.
have my bad 80s hairdo.
A lot of
Okay,
people-
so here's our phone number, people, before the conversation goes
Crazy
off.
again?
Yeah.
Would this conversation go?
254-773-1400.
You should repeat that.
254-773-1400. You can give us a call there. Thank you, Lord. There's a phone call to shut you all
I hope
down.
I hope this caller's going to get us off topic again.
Okay, so if you would like to support this show, it's P.O. Box 34, Davila, Texas 76523, and the checks can be made out to Conn Tatum. All the money goes directly to K-Tim to pay for the airtime. Again, that's P.O. Box 34, Davila, Texas 76523. And if you'd like to advertise on the show when it's normally not so crazy, it's 254-300-1885. That's Mrs. Tatum, Conn's wife, and she can set up your advertising. And one quick note from me, I am loaded with baby chicks right now, so my number is not accurate on the ad that runs on the air. It's 210-215-7614. The last digit is 4. And if you are in need of baby chicks, I have plenty. I have about 100 of them right now, maybe a little more. But I am totally out of juveniles. And that's my little thing. All right.
Well, you
We're
got a
gonna
couple of
Rick.
juveniles right here.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have you too, and that's plenty. Thank you.
Yeah, his name is John and Dean. That's the two
No,
juveniles.
John and Con. And Rick's on the phone. Rick, save us.
Rick, are you there?
Yeah.
Boy,
Boy, sure is thundering out there today.
Well, we're going to slow down enough to let you tell us what you think about all this.
Well, we've got a lot of problems in this country. You know, the border. I can't believe that people like Nancy Pelosi keep insisting that there's no crisis on the border, and and the governor of California saying that it's all in Trump's mind and things like that.
Well, the real question, Rick, is are they that mentally inept?
No.
Or are they just a lying, you know what?
lying. Okay, so let me read this, okay, just real quick. So Nancy Pelosi says, the president's sham emergency declaration and unlawful transfer of funds have undermined the democracy, there's your key word that you really detest, conveying the vote of the bipartisan Congress, the will of the people, and the letter of the Constitution. Now, if that's not a bunch of lies and not talking about themselves, that's total projection right there.
Well, I remember a bunch of angel parents. Those are parents whose kids were killed by illegal immigrants, they went to talk to Pelosi, and she wouldn't even give them the time of day, and that's despicable. Oh, there goes that thunder again.
Well, but Rick, are they really that mentally inept, or are they just lying dogs?
Rick, I hope you feel sorry for me. I got to share this with you. So I've been debating I have a twin brother, believe it or not. He's a fraternal twin. He lives in Sacramento,
So
California.
one of you's crazy and the other one's not, right?
You know what? I got the looks and the brains. I thought he had the brains, but I realized the other day how dumb he is. This is my own twin brother. We're arguing. He believes Nancy Pelosi. He believes Gulliver in California. He lives in Sacramento. He does not believe there's an emergency either. And I said, Jim, ICE just announced that they detained 4,100 people in a day, breaking all records in the history of illegal attempts to cross our borders. Now, if that's not insane, and he basically gets mad, and I told him he's you know what, tard, you know what I'm talking about, and I said, I can't believe we came from the same mom because you're so freaking stupid for a twin brother. He hung up on me. He hasn't talked to me in a week. And you know what? I don't care. He's gone. He's become a libtard.
Well,
I can't help him. That's not a bad word.
Stop using that word on the air.
A really retarded liberal is what it means. A libtard. It's not a bad word.
Stop.
Well,
That's like 5 times a repeating
And
it.
if they caught 4,000 crossing illegally, everybody's saying, and it's true, if they caught 4,000, then there was 16,000 they didn't catch.
Yeah, but there's no emergency.
Yeah,
Rick is right. Rick, I'm so angry with it. Back in the 70s, there was a radio show called I'm Mad Too, Eddie, and there was bumper stickers that said I'm Mad Too. And there was this talk show guy always telling me how mad he was. I'm just that same way. Rick, I wake up mad every morning. I'm afraid to listen to the news, but I have to.
Well, Rick, you're right.
Well, you know, ask those little kids who get stolen from their parents by some person who they don't even know, so the guy can stay in the country, and they're yelling for their mother. And who knows what happens to those children once these criminals who kidnapped them to get over here, because they knew if they have children with them, they won't be immediately deported. And, you know, ask those children if it's an emergency. Ask the ones who were brought over here for sex trafficking. Ask them if it's an emergency.
Rick, I got a question for you and for all the listening audience and for everybody else in the United States. What makes Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats refuse to accept the dangers of what's happening at the border? What is their incentive to not recognize this or to lie like a dog about it? Are they getting are they getting money from the drug cartel? What are they getting from this invasion that makes them want to oppose the border? What's their incentive? What are they getting out of this?
I think they're trying to stop Trump no matter what he does. I think it's they're such sore losers. They were so sure that Hillary was going to be elected, and they convinced themselves, you know, that they convinced themselves of their own lies. They're living in a delusional world.
Well, are they willing to totally destroy the country we live in because of their hatred of Donald Trump? Yeah.
I think they destroy it even if Hillary was elected. They hate this country.
Yeah.
They hate everything it stands for.
Can you repeat the old saying, "Don't cut your nose off to spite your face"? Is that, you know?
But before I leave, though, I've got some good news.
Yes, sir.
The pedophiles who are going into schools and doing and libraries and doing these drag queen reading things.
Yeah.
They're getting there's the citizen activists are doing a good job, and then they're ramping it up, and they're checking the backgrounds of these people. I heard it, and it made me almost jump for joy when I actually heard it on the news that 2 of those guys were convicted sex offenders, and they were caught. And you didn't hear it very much, but I heard it once, and that was enough for me. And then I think it's a bunch of Satan worshipers, if you ask me. They dress like devil clowns, and they spoke in front of the city council in Houston. And this guy, he was a criminal too, but he's like, we're grooming the next generation of children. You know, grooming, that's a sick term. That's what pedophiles do to children. They groom them.
Rick, and what redeeming social value do they have?
They have none, and I don't understand the stupid parents that take their kids to those things. and you can tell those poor kids are scared to death. And it's amazing that progressives are so, I don't know, crazy. Is that the word? Maybe Nancy Pelosi is insane. Maybe these people. I know that AOC is insane, or she's a very good actress anyway.
But people that listen to them and believe them and vote for them, what excuse do they have, Rick? Do they not have a brain? Do they not be able to use their brain? Can they not add 2 and 2 and get 4? What excuse do they have?
Maybe it's this way. My daddy was a Democrat. My daddy's daddy was a Democrat, and by God, I'm a Democrat. And it ain't. That's. I think that's part of it.
Well, Rick, what we have to tell these people is your Democratic Party of yesteryear is not the same as now. Back when Herbert Humphrey, as a Democrat, was running against Richard Nixon, one of his things he said in 1968 was, "Our country is losing its values. We're becoming an immoral nation." That's something you don't hear out of a Democrat's mouth. You hear that out of a conservative's mouth. But that was the Democratic Party at one time.
I think we
Well,
have lost.
you don't hear it out of the Democrats because they're the ones doing it.
Right. But one time, but I'm trying to get all the older people who've always been Democrat, like he's pointing out.
Yeah.
I've been vote Democrat. It's not the same party anymore.
No.
It's
I
just.
I was born and raised a Democrat, but I would.
I was too.
I wouldn't
Thanks,
more
Rick, for your
associate with
call.
them.
Look at John Kennedy.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, just
He was almost. He was more Republican than some Republicans, the way he talked.
yeah. But I don't know. Them kind are gone forever, I guess.
All right, I'll let y'all go so somebody else can have a chance.
Okay, thank you, Rick, for the call. Don't lose the number. Okay, folks, I want to say a little something about the Reverend Al Sharpton and him raising the ugly head of preparation for slave days. I want to talk about that for just a moment. Let's keep this in perspective, folks. I'd like to repeat what Mr. Treat at A&M University said way back in the dark ages. If he said it today, they'd probably kick him off the campus. But he made the statement. He said, prior to the Civil War, a black slave was worth $2,000. If you had a horse worth $2,000 today, what would you do with him? Would you kill him? Would you torture him? What would you do with him? You would feed him, you'd house him, and you'd take care of him. Okay, the black slaves at that period of time were fed, housed, clothed, and taken care of. They were valuable. Okay, at the same period of time, an Irishman was worth nothing. A Chinese coolie, it was cheaper to kill them than it was to pay them. And the American Indians were worth nothing. They killed them. So his question to the student body was, what would you rather have been prior to the Civil War? Would you rather have been an Irishman, a Chinese coolie, an American Indian, or a black slave? Which would you rather have been? My point of raising this is, why do we owe a certain demographics of this country, why do we owe them preparation for slave days? We don't owe them a damn thing. They ought to be very, very glad that their ancestors were slaves in America. Otherwise, they'd have been born in Somalia or Ethiopia or the Congo.
I think your normal middle-class black American is annoyed with the idea of paying reparations, because you're basically telling a black person, you're not valuable because we made you not valuable, so therefore we got to give you money. When you ask a black person that's working in conservative society, they're going to be offended. They feel like they're valuable, and they are. They're contributing to society just like the rest of us. So to the average black person, that idea of reparations makes no sense to them. And if I'm wrong, please call me and rebuke me. I would love to discuss it with you.
There is nobody who's still affected by slave days in
No.
that context, okay, that are still alive. How many generations are they removed? And to do this is just mind-boggling. I mean, it's just a put down to any black American who's trying to stand on their feet, are standing on their feet, whatever. It's a slam in the face, just like you were saying.
Well, it is, and look at affirmative action. Isn't that preparation for slave days?
Well,
Of course it is.
And not only that, we're not saying slavery was good by any means. That's
No.
not what we're saying here. And,
I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying get over it, folks. You know, how long are you going to be a victim? Al Sharpton is going around creating victims because of slave days 200 years ago.
Him money.
Yeah,
You know the old saying, I'm a loser because my dad's an alcoholic. No, your dad's an alcoholic because you're a loser. Own it, accept the responsibility. It's up to you to make your own living. Quit blaming the world.
Yeah,
Good grief.
We've got enough victims in this world. We
Everybody's
don't
a
need any more
victim.
victims. Okay,
But
folks.
you tell that story quite often, and so I mean, you're putting it out there because it's poignant. So if there's a new listener, they can.
Well,
they
I'm
can
bringing
really
it
get a
up
grasp
because
of it.
Al Sharpton is starting this preparation for slave days again, and somebody needs to kind of keep this in perspective.
Well, it's in Congress.
so-
It's not just Al Sharpton. They started in
yeah,
Congress
it's in
first.
Congress.
Can I get your name and where you calling from?
So, but
Okay,
anyway, you've got a couple you got to talk to.
I need to talk a little bit about Alpha Hydraulics in Spiegelville, Texas. That is at 8468 North Highway 6 in Waco. That is really Spiegelville.
And their number is 254-848-9981. That's 848-9981.
Yeah, if you've got some hydraulic work to do, like pavement breakers or anything like that that you need to repair, they have fixed some hydraulic control valves for me here lately, and they did a fine job and didn't cost too much money. So if you need their services for something, give old Larry a call up there at Alpha Hydraulics in Spiegelville. Okay, I can't say enough good things about the good sponsors we've got on this program, like Academy Paint and Body and just all the sponsors we have.
John Dean.
And John Dean. Well, I don't need to talk about John Dean, how good he
He
is.
can do that for himself.
He's in here stirring. He's up here stirring the pot now. So,
Thank you for allowing me to share my rants.
okay, David, you still on the phone there?
Yes.
Yeah, give me a holler. Go ahead.
Hey, y'all are exactly right. I'm tired of feeding these low-life people that don't want to work. Y'all know exactly what's going on. Y'all keep saying what you're saying.
Thank you,
And I
David.
appreciate you. And I appreciate you. If I can donate some money to you, just let me know how.
Well, we'll give that address here in about 2 seconds, and if you got a pencil, you can write it down. We appreciate that
All right.
very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you for thinking that way, David, because we do have to have some financial support in order to stay on the air.
Yeah. So that address is P.O. Box 34, Davila, Texas 76523. And the phone number is 254-300-1885. And if you didn't get the address, you're certainly welcome to call that number to ask for it. And your checks can be written out to Conn Tatum, and that's Conn with 2 N's. And we take that money, deposit it, and turn around and pay K-Tim directly. And we have to talk about one more sponsor.
Yeah, let me repeat that phone number right quick.
254-300-1885.
Yes. Also now, right here locally between Temple and Belton is a place called Extreme Hose and Hydraulics. We have them rebuild hoses for us all the time. They're just good people. We can take the hose off our Bobcat or our backhoe or whatever it may be, go in there and give it to Frank or one of his men, and they'll build a new hose and get it back to me just quick, fast, and in a hurry. So I really like their service out there. Their phone number, if you have some hydraulic hoses to build or whatever kind of hydraulic works you need, well, their phone number is 254-231-3403. That's 231-3403. And they are at 5300 South General Bruce Drive in Temple. That's on the right side access road if you're headed south. Go by there and take them your hydraulic hoses or whatever. Also, If you got a cylinder that needs to be repacked, well, they can do that too. Now, if you have an emergency, like on Sunday or Saturday or something, another phone number is 717-5562. That's 254-717-5562. Give old Frank and them a call out there, and they'll get you fixed up.
Then we have Central Texas Auction Services. They have 2-ring auctions sold on site, or sometimes they can have you bring your stuff to them. They do farm equipment, office equipment, trailers, boats, the whole 9 yards. Just give them a call at 254-718-5120. That's 718-5120. They also have a website, which is centraltexasauctionservices.com. And they have an auction the 3rd Saturday of every other month. So give them a call, and if you want to consign something with them, or if you want them to come and liquidate an estate for you, they'll be happy to do that.
Okay, folks, the phone number here, if you want to fuss at us about something,
We got 10 minutes.
is 773-1400. So y'all give us a holler, something you want to talk about. We've got a lot of things to talk about because I think the world is going crazy. At any rate, every time I hear a Democrat say something, I wonder, how stupid can you be? I was just referring
Some
a
of
while
the
ago.
Republicans aren't too smart either.
Well, no, there's some Republicans that fall in that same category, and that's why this coming primary season, if we got some Republicans that are not doing the right thing, get them gone. And if we got Democrats that you think are great, look at their voting record, look at what they stand for, and if you agree with what they want to do to America, then I guess vote for them.
You know, if somebody wants to go against Carter and the Republican Party, and you believe in them, get out there and do some footwork for them. You know, back them. Get Carter out of office and get somebody in there that's going to do something for us and be our mouthpiece.
Well, all I'm saying is,
That's right.
look at their voting record, look at what they stand for, look at what they want to do with America. And then, if you agree with what they're doing, then vote for them. But if you don't agree with what they're doing, if you think they're not helping save America, then you better vote to get them out of there and get somebody in there that can help preserve freedom and liberty. I'm kind of different to the Democrats. I kind of like this country, and I would kind of like to pass this same freedom and liberty on to my kids and grandkids. I don't want to destroy America, but it seems to me that the Democrats are hell bent on destroying America, and there are some Republicans that are helping them do it. So, but Ed's on the phone here, and he can get me straightened out. I've known him a long time. Ed, what do you think about this today?
I'm listening to your outrage, and I think that you're right on track.
Yeah.
It's intolerable. These people are criminally insane.
Yeah.
They're stupid.
That's
I think some of them are beyond hope.
That's a good way to describe it. They are criminally insane. I agree with that.
These outrages, what John had brought up about, or one of your guests had brought up about these
Transgenders.
Yes,
Those confused he/she's.
Yes,
She-males.
yes, men acting like women.
Yeah.
And bringing these kids to see that. That's unforgivable. How could a stupid parent ever even do that?
Well, there's stupid parents that were not raised to appreciate the traditional values of this country. One of those traditional values is you want your sons to become men and your girls to become ladies.
If they become men, that's scary. That's wrong now. That's toxic masculinity.
I'd like to ask the parents. Ed, I'd like to ask the parents, where were you when your kids were getting this ideology? Where were you as parents? Ed, don't you wonder the same thing? How could so many parents let their kids have this attitude and this ideology?
Well, this goes back to letting the school districts raise your children for you.
Well, you can't let that happen. Everybody knows that.
Well,
Evidently not.
let me take just a moment and repeat one of the first comments that my mother ever made when I was, I don't know, 1 year old or 2 years old or something. I remember her saying this. She said, "Con, I would rather see you die a man than to live a coward." Now, I remember her saying that. How many parents would say that today? Nobody. Now, my mother was a hard woman, but she came from a hard time, the Depression, World War II, etc. That was back when parents wanted boys to be men and girls to be ladies. But I'm just saying, I have never said that to my sons, but I didn't have to. They knew what I thought. And my sons today, they are not girly men, they are a man's man. All of my sons are.
That's awesome.
And I'm proud of that. Just for example, I don't want to get started on my personal family, but I was at Taco Bell one day, and a boy come in, put a keychain on your table there and asked for $1. You know, he was deaf or dumb or what. You know, he's an afflicted young man of some kind, and he was putting these keychains down. Anyway, he laid a keychain down on the table there next to us, and a fellow about, 25, 28 years old, he picked up the keychain and threw it in the floor. And my son, he stood up, didn't say a word, walked over to that table, and he said, "That poor boy is trying to do something to help himself. You ought to be ashamed of yourself for throwing that in the floor." And I'll tell you what, I was damn proud of my son.
That's awesome. By the way, you were just politically incorrect a second ago. It's pronounced Taco Bell.
Oh.
Let's inflect it right. It's a Latino word. You have to inflect it correctly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Taco Bell.
Okay, Ed, I got one for you.
All right.
Did you see on Conn's Facebook page, Common Sense Con, that the Dems replaced POW and MIA flags with transgender pride flags to protest Trump's military
I saw that
ban?
on your page. Oh, that made me angry.
I'll tell you what.
None of the Republicans did that, but the Dems did, including Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, and at least 4 or 5 other ones that they
Oh
named
my
in the
God!
article.
We need people normal people listening. We're going to have to rise up. This is what's going on a daily basis. This is insane.
Well, recognize where they're taking America. The Democrats that want to replace the POW sign with a transgender sign, what do they want for America? What is their goal for this country? What kind of a country do they want their children to grow up in?
It's completely unraveling.
And just so you know, I talked to Putin personally. He doesn't want to invade this country because he doesn't want to have to deal with our transgenders, LGBT. He doesn't want to deal with Move On. He doesn't want to deal with all these leftists. It's not something he wants. He's not. Nobody's going to take over this country. Nobody wants it.
Whatever else he is, he's a man's man.
He's a man's man. I love that guy.
He just.
Well,
I just quoted him the other day, and I forgot now what he said. But I know what he said. He was talking about the Mueller report. Now I'm quoting Mr. Putin. He said the Mueller report is like looking for a black cat in a dark room where there's no cat.
Well, you know, Hillary, who was supposed to be a state leader, a Secretary of State, which means you work on having peaceful relationships with all countries, to save her ego and try to become president, she threw Russia under the bus, making all that nonsense up.